and gentlemen, welcome to our annual Best Shit I Heard in 2021 here on Kill Rock Radio. The non-definitive list, that is in the sense that the order of this stuff, it's all up for interpretation. These are my 5 favorite albums of the year in the world of hard rock and heavy metal. And as you can see, I am dressed up. I don't own a tuxedo like a fucking weirdo, but I did get suited up for this in respect to the year of great releases. 2020 obviously was wiped out by the pandemic, and a lot of bands were going back on the road in 2021. You gotta have an album to tour behind. You gotta get out there and make that motherfucking cash, baby. So we saw several badass releases from some of the greatest bands in the world, and we will get into that. We're gonna go ahead and get it started with my boys Gojira out of France, the Duplantier brothers. I know I'm butchering that shit. But Gojira put out an album by the name of Fortitude. A band like Gojira, they're so different in almost every sense. They started off with kind of a black metal sound, and they've evolved into what they are today, and they're so different. Because when you look at the world of pop music, and really what goes on at the pop level of every genre, everything starts to sound the same. It becomes just a mishmash of bullshit gruel, if you know what I'm saying. And it's all interchangeable. Gojira is anything but interchangeable. The general composition of the songs, the atmosphere, the beats, all that shit, they do it in such a different way than everybody else. So Joe Duplantier had said, when asked about the meaning behind the album, the greater meaning, he referred to becoming pessimistic during the pandemic and sort of coming to this anarchistic point where you're like, you know what, fuck it, like this is it, it's over, we deserve it, and all that good shit, and then sort of looking towards the inner strength that it would actually take to do the right things and to help heal the world. I mean, he refers to, the burning of the Amazon, the many crimes committed against the people of Tibet. And here's a quote from him. This is Joe Duplantier. He says, "Since the beginning of our band, we have promoted compassion versus competition and love versus hate. The point of Fortitude is to inspire people to be the best version of themselves and to be strong no matter what." With this album, you felt almost like a tribal element in the way the drums were laid down, and it gets that gallop that maybe like an Iron Maiden has. It has a galloping way about it. I'm galloping myself, but you get that urgency when you listen to this album. It's just really a fantastic piece of work. If you're not a fan of Gojira, maybe you weren't into the black metal shit, they have really become this amazing all-around band. They've got stuff that you can listen to if you're a fan of really almost any genre of metal. So if you didn't get a chance to hear the new Gojira album this year, definitely go check it out. If you got beef with it, I'm suspecting you may have some sort of predisposed heat with the nation of France, because this is just a quality product from top to bottom. Fortitude by Gojira. Definitely check that out. Next, we have an album by the name of Celestial Blues, and it's by King Woman, which one of the most amazing new sounds that I've heard over the last 5 years or so. Lead singer Cristina Esfandiari. She used to be the whole fucking band. It was started off as a solo project for Cristina, and over time, it's become a band. And this album, Celestial Blues, it's short. It's, you finish the whole thing in like 45 minutes. I don't know the exact number, but I remember looking and seeing it was 40-something minutes, and I was like, holy shit. So you're in and out with this. I think there's only about 9 tracks on it, but god damn is it beautiful. Any of you who listen to grunge, if you know a band by the name of Mazzy Star, imagine if you took Mazzy Star and you turned them into a doom metal band. And when you take that sort of grind and you have this beautiful voice just floating above it all, it's such a juxtaposition, but at the same time, it works perfectly. I mean, there's heavy religious overtones in this throughout this album. Just heaviness in the lyrics, heaviness in the jam. And I will say this, for guys who like to fuck to heavy metal, I'm sorry to get, I'm sorry to take it there. But I gotta let you know, part of what's awesome about this album, boner jams, dude. This is prime boner jam stuff. If you don't like necessarily bang into like kind of cliche fuck jams, this is an album you can put on and get your grind on, fool. And once again, sorry. Sorry I had to take it there, but I would be less than honest if I didn't give you that shout out. Because, some guys are low on boner jams, and boner jams can be important. So, that being said, I'm such a douche. I apologize. But anyways, the album in and of itself, if you're into a band like Sleep, and if you want to put some Mazzy Star on top of that, what you end up with is just a beautiful, lush, atmospheric album that is just heavy and brutal at times, but maintains this sort of fragile beauty about it. Definitely check this album out if you are looking for an experience unlike any other. Once again, that is Celestial Blues by King Woman. Go check that out. You will thank me for it. Next, we have a band out of Canada, a band by the name of Spirit Box. They put out an album called Eternal Blue. And this album was really amazing because you could see it coming from far out. It's been a long time since I've seen a situation like that, meaning the way this album built, Spirit Box had started to release singles first before they ever released their album. And there was such a buzz created with these singles. It was so fucking great. There was an appetite for this album before it even came out, which is something you don't see these days. So for a band like this to just drop some singles and boom, here's the album, and the album was a banger from top to bottom. The band is led by husband and wife duo Courtney LaPlante, who's the lead singer, and Mike Stringer, the guitarist. This band is highly technically proficient. If you're into that sort of thing, the fucking bass and drums really, the rhythm section of this band is so strong. Such interesting bass lines, really, really impressive shit. And on top of it all, you have Courtney LaPlante, who is just one of the most versatile singers I have heard in a long time. Because her and her husband used to be in this band called I Wrestled a Bear Once, and that band was almost like the inverse of what Spirit Box is, in the sense that it was more harsh vocals and it was colored in with the clean vocals. And you could just tell she had such a beautiful voice when she sang clean. You felt like shit if you could just flip that and focus more on her gorgeous voice and then color that in with the harsh vocals. And she does that so fucking well. Sometimes when you hear people scream, it's like it's such a product of voice lessons and shit like that it sounds bullshit. It doesn't sound legitimate. Her scream works hand in hand with her clean vocals, and it just works beautifully. And stylistically, they're all over the place too. I mean, you hear industrial elements, there's groove metal elements, you get into some blast beat shit. You get into various heavy spots. And every now and again, there'll be a section where you're like, fuck, man, if these motherfuckers wanted to, they could just make top 40 shit. But this album, it's not short necessarily, but it does fly by because it's fun fucking music, man. Even though it's lyrically heavy, it's fucking fun to listen to because, like I said, there's so much interesting shit happening with the composition and the actual musicianship and the tremendous vocals. That is Eternal Blue by Spirit Box. Go check that motherfucker out if you can. Next, we have a band out of Baltimore, Maryland. It's Turnstyle. They released an album called Glow On, and god damn it if it ain't the bee's knees. Let's get into it. Turnstyle are, if you look them up, they're listed as like a hardcore band, but that is selling them way the fuck short. They do so much interesting shit on this album, and there's a lot of instrumentation that you might not normally hear on what would be considered a hardcore album. I mean, they use so many different effects to achieve so many different type of vibes. And I mean, above all, this is a fun fucking album to listen to. If you're out in the streets, this is like a classic if you're like hanging out with your buddies, getting stoned or drinking beers and fucking playing video games or looking at whatever the fuck you're looking at. This is a fun time ass album. And it is a mishmash of styles. I mean, I hear like Spanish beats in there. There's super like synthy bits, and at the same time there are just some raging rocking ass fucking parts. And it is a tremendous album overall. These guys, every time you hear an album from them, they just get more and more fucking awesome. Their previous album was kick-ass. This album, even better. Once again, that is Glow On by Turnstyle. They were a band you need to keep your eye on. Well, these motherfuckers are here. Go get that album. I don't give a fuck what you're into. You will enjoy Glow On by Turnstyle. If you got beef with it, let me know what problem you have with it. I can't imagine. So now here we are at the top album of the year. I said that these aren't in any particular order. That's except number one. Number one is absolutely my favorite album of the year from one of my favorite bands of the last, 20 years or so. That's a band by the name of Mastodon, and they put out an album called Hushed and Grim. This band, there's such a tremendous evolution from where they started to where they are now. It's really interesting because they had really what are considered classic albums sort of out of the chute, and in a sense that core audience that fell in love with them has sort of taken issue with them and their evolution, saying they're not metal anymore. And I mean, it's been exacerbated by guitarist Brent Hines. He's been coming out and saying, basically, like, I don't want to be metal, fuck metal. But there is no doubt Mastodon produces some of the most gorgeous music, metal, hard rock, whatever the fuck you want to consider it. I can't imagine considering it anything other than metal. Very progressive musically. You don't see a lot of bands with multiple singers. I mean, you'll see the bands where it's like the screamer and the singer. That's not the case with Mastodon. You have Brandaler, the drummer. I've always wondered, like, even back to like Phil Collins, the first time I ever saw him, you wonder, like, fuck, man, it's got to be hard to play the drums and sing, much less what this guy does. This guy is going all over the kit, doing some really amazing shit while vocalizing the songs. And you would imagine there's no way they could do this live. But if you've seen Mastodon live, I mean, it's a fucking tremendous time, a tremendous show. And whether you think they're metal or not, this band clearly does not give a fuck, because they are doing whatever they want on this new album. There's a lot of doom and gloom to it, hence the name. But at the same time, I mean, this is some of the best work I've ever heard out of these guys. The production is amazing, but it's not slick. There's a lot of bands out there that the music is so produced, it's so fucking clean, that it almost loses its soul. It loses some of its balls, if you know what I'm saying. And that is not the case here. This music is, I use the term rich to describe King Woman. This has that same sort of quality in the sense that it's so layered, and it's so, there's so many different things going on in any song. It's mesmerizing. The music is just crushing, the way the breaks work. And I mean, this is a long album too. And I mean, pretty much every song is badass. And then the singles, man, god damn, Tear Drinker? Bro, Tear Drinker is the jam of the year. Go listen to that shit if you haven't listened to it. Pushing the Tides. There is a cadre of amazing jams on this album. And to the people who have the weird hate boner for Mastodon, this is not going to make you happy, because if anything, this band is, while keeping it metal, I mean, there's a lot of like, bluesy shit. There's some kind of southern sounding shit. Not to say that they're like a metal Beatles, But they have that thing that the Beatles had where, well, I guess the Beatles, all four of the guys did vocals, but you don't see it often where 3 out of 4 dudes in a metal band do vocals on the regular, and they're all fucking good. Mastodon, Hushed and Grim. It is the album of the year. Bask in its glory and talk shit at your own peril. Everything about Mastodon fucking rules, and that is why they are the best shit I heard this year. Thank you guys very much for checking out the list. As I said, give me your list. I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say. And you can let me know why mine is terrible or awesome. Send your email to info@killrockradio.com or get up in these DMs and we'll talk about it. Until next time, I will talk to you crazy motherfuckers later. Peace.